That's a new piece. I came up living at the Seaside, and so I was really familiar with sort of sand and water. So I think the connection to clay was not a big leap. There's a sort of a tactile connection to the world. I think people find making things out of soft materials very appealing. There's always this issue with working with clay of it's a craft material, it's not a fine art, high art medium, even though that's a spurious argument because most of the really interesting sort of Paleolithic artwork is either carved or clay-based. The most interesting part is working with the clay from really soft, forming a shape, and then drying out a bit so then you can sort of really clean the things the moves that you've made. And as you work, there's a period where the clay is actually very strong, and then as it gets drier, it gets much more fragile. I find the transitions of very moist clay to the semi-moist to, leather hard is the term that is used, where you can still feel a kind of coolness to the material because there is moisture still in it. But then when you leave it to be completely dry before you put it in the kiln, it's incredibly brittle and scary to handle. So there's all this drama within the procedure of getting the form made and cleaning it up and then putting the glaze on it. I glaze on greenware, which means I glaze on unfired clay. I find it makes a better bond with the material. The glaze is really integrated into the clay body that way. If you fired it first and then glazed it, the clay pores would be less inviting. They wouldn't be accepting the glaze as well. I mean, it seems as if I'm pointing a finger into the clay, like doing it to something like that. I'm actually using a tool, not the digit of my finger, but maybe a wooden tool that would make that kind of mark. I like the process, and I am always surprised at the outcome. I might start with a premise that, oh, well, I'll put stripes of color down on a rectangle and I'll deal with it. And then I'll paint the insides of the perforations a different color and see what that does to the perception of the piece. But generally, my ideas at the beginning never seem to really stay there. It's this sort of accumulating thing. And I think that has to do with growing up at the ocean, where you're seeing this sort of repetitive thing, the sand moving, the wind moving the water, like the buildup, or storms, or erosion along the edges, or just buildups and change. The change is very visible, and the amounts of forces involved in making these ecosystems is really apparent. All these things, they sort of build on each other and become, part of the whole fabric of the thing itself, the life and the work. Bye.